It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
We welcome you to the program. It is County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller. And we want to welcome a first-time guest on County-Wide. Allison Lenoker is with the Coalition for Compassion and Justice. And your role or title there, Allison, is?
I'm the executive director.
You're the top dog.
That's what they tell me.
That's what they tell you. We like to talk to folks in charge, so we appreciate it. You're visiting with us in our Cottonwood studios from Prescott today. We always say an extra special thank you to our guests who take a little drive, especially during a busy holiday season. I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, if I can just get you to describe for me, the Coalition for Compassion and Justice works primarily with homeless folks. Is that a good nutshell to put you in?
That's correct. So our mission is ending and preventing homelessness. However, our services are not just for those experiencing homelessness. We have services for anyone who might need something.
Okay. I want to bite this off. You were recommended to me by a previous guest, and we chatted a little bit about your organization. And there's an awful lot going on. We see, especially in big cities, big metros, LA and so on, homeless issues. It seems to be growing on the consciousness of even small town folks like most of us in this area. And along with that, it seems to me, come a lot of assumptions.
Absolutely.
About homelessness. Folks that are homeless deserve it, are lazy, are all of the prejudices and all of the things that can be applied. And I'm thinking in your position from your chair, you can assure me that maybe now and again some of those will fit, but many times that's just not the case.
That's absolutely correct. So we've really seen the face of homelessness change. The days of having the stereotypical older lady pushing a cart or a gentleman drinking out of a brown paper bag, those days are gone. What we are seeing is an influx of first-time people falling into homelessness. That includes families. And then we're really seeing an uptick of seniors, people who are on fixed incomes who are being priced out of their housing. And I get this question a lot of who is currently experiencing homelessness and who is in danger of experiencing homelessness. Yeah. And my answer is everybody and anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for myself, if you told me that my mortgage would be doubled overnight, I would be in a situation that I don't know if I would be able to handle. Right. Anything from life changes, death of a partner, death of a parent, death of a child. I mean, we hear the stories every single day. Yeah. These are regular folks. These are not, this isn't any sort of circumstance that's unknown. And then, we look at substance abuse. Of course, that's a factor in some cases, but we're seeing a lot more folks come to our door who don't have those issues and that are just have fallen on hard times.
I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of different drivers kind of depending on folks based on especially age demographics. We might think of younger people maybe had some drug issues, older, seniors on the fixed income that you kind of mentioned. So there's going to be, it's just hard to pin down and we shouldn't try, I suppose, to really kind of pin any one thing on this. Yeah. It's a bigger issue than it's ever been, and your organization does work to kind of alleviate to the best it can. It seems to me the heaviest lifting has got to kind of tax your abilities at times.
Absolutely. And with the rising rent costs and things of that nature, we're seeing a lot of people falling into homelessness for the first time. Last year, we saw a huge increase in first-time homeless during our point-in-time count. And what that says to us is that, again, this isn't just one demographic. It's not just someone who's struggling with substance abuse. It's not just this person who just doesn't want to get a job. We're really not seeing that anymore. Yeah. And in this day and age, it's really easy to dehumanize someone, right? I mean, if someone's on the corner with a sign, if someone was asked to leave a treatment facility, it's just very easy for us to go, okay, well, that doesn't matter. And that's their problem. But the fact of the matter is that these are human beings. Right. These are people's fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, children. And we're working with humans, not just someone who is worthless or someone who doesn't mean anything. And I think that that's a huge stigma that we're trying to battle right now. In our shelter, we house up to 12 people, and that's over 18. And we are the only low barrier shelter, which means you can come in intoxicated, but you cannot get intoxicated with us. And a lot of times there's judgment on that too. Well, why do you allow someone to come in high or drunk? Are you enabling them?
Right.
My answer is always, you are never 100% sober if you're struggling with substances and you're 100% sober and say, I'm just going to stop using today.
Right.
Very rarely does that happen. So we want to be there to capture that moment. Also, I would say that about half of our shelter right now is full-time employed.
Yeah.
Which
I wanted to get to that.
Yeah.
Because that is something I think a lot of people don't understand. We go, and as you very well explained here in our first piece, we are so quick to apply stereotypes to any behavior, no matter what it is, across the spectrum, homelessness or whatever. And we see the guy walking down the street talking to himself. That is the poster boy for homelessness. And you would say not even close.
I wouldn't say that that's at all.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's easy. I don't know if that's because we really believe that. We're not informed. We're in our own advantageous worlds, and thank God there, but for the grace of God, go I. Or if we are trying to rationalize our feelings and thoughts and push it away because it is unsavory. And it is something that a lot of us think, well, again, maybe except for the grace of God, there go I. So either way, we're not addressing the issue head on. Groups like yours are.
Yeah. And I think that when you do see that person walking down the street and maybe they are struggling with mental illness or something like that, something to remember is I get a lot of, well, everybody should just get their act together, pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But there's always challenges. And sometimes when you look at those challenges and then you look at how to deal with those challenges and then add on that you don't have a place to stay at night.
Yeah.
How do you work on any of those challenges?
Right.
So CCJ, or Coalition for Compassion and Justice, we believe that the housing first model works. We see it work every single day, which means I'm going to house someone regardless of what the issues are, so that once they have a roof over their head and they know that they don't have to worry about their stuff getting stolen, if I'm going to get beat up at night, any of those things, and they're now in a home, the mental health issues can be addressed.
Let's security,
yes,
confidence,
100%,
ability to prepare oneself to go to a job interview.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got to start somewhere, and that seems like the best place.
Yeah, and what we've seen that once we house someone, all of those other issues are now taken care of because that person has security. You know, when we look at our hierarchy of needs, housing is right up there, and so I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about that. The other half of my shelter is over 65.
Okay, that's the next question that I've got. Actually, I'm not kidding. In my notes here, because we are in a community with a lot of retired folks, we have been for a long time. Arizona at large is really kind of considered a heavily retirement age state. And those, it seems to me, if there's one demographic that's really gotten clobbered in recent years, it is folks of retirement age. And
absolutely.
And
you know, I'm getting letters from people that say, you know, I've lived in this apartment complex for 15, 20 years. I'm retired. I'm disabled. I was a school teacher for 50 years.
Right.
And now, you know, they're losing their housing. So what do? We're seeing a real uptick also in Alzheimer's and dementia symptoms in some of our folks. And that's really hard because how do we get them the care that they need when, again, they have no idea where they're going to sleep at night?
Yeah.
They don't know if they're going to be sleeping outside. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I definitely can tell you that the face of homelessness would really surprise most folks because it's not that stereotypical. And at CCJ, we're very much, we're not a handout, we're a hand up. Yeah. We don't work any harder than anyone's willing to work for themselves. But we are always there when that person who's not willing to work goes, I'm ready to clock in. Let's get stuff going. I don't want to be on the streets anymore. And I think that we're different in that way because there's no judgment. You can come into my office and you could have had a real bad night the night before. And as long as we can get things done, then great. So I think that that judgment is also what hurts folks and keeps folks in homelessness is because, you know, we also have a lot of people who are living in their vehicles, which there's a lot of shame that goes around in that. And I think that idea.
You can see it.
Yes.
You and I could get in the car right now and I could drive you to where there's a small little encampment. I see the guy there every single day. I see his car. It moves. So I know he's active and he's around every single day.
Right. And we all talk about workforce. How do we get folks who are living in their vehicles to work and then and not have that judgment? And I think that there's a lot of shame that folks are feeling right now. And at CCJ, we just go, listen, there is no shame. This is not who you are. Homelessness does not define a person. It is what someone experiences. Right. And what I've found is that a lot of times I start talking to our clients, or we start talking to somebody, and their lives are amazing and they're intelligent and they have something to offer. It's just they're going through a period that is difficult.
Something happened.
One
thing, a series of things happen. All right, I want to let our listeners know as we head to our first break here, we're going to do 2 programs here with Allison Lenoker. Again, Coalition for Compassion and Justice. This will be the first of the 2. And I want to talk a little bit when we come back about your facility, where you're at now, when we talk about housing people and overnight stays and stuff. And then I want to talk, there's a pretty big project that is happening, I think, currently underway, developing in Chino Valley. And I want to talk about that as well. So we'll do that. Again, our guest today, countywide, Allison Lenoker, Coalition for Compassion and Justice. I'm Brad Miller. We'll break. We'll be back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Hi, this is Lewis Rice with Rice Accounting, Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, with a very sincere thank you for your continued business over the last 20 years. All of us at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service are very honored for the many community awards we've been given over the years. As always, we are open year-round, providing services for taxes, payroll, and bookkeeping. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona, can help you with all your tax and accounting needs. For our nearest location, call 800-234-1040.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
Welcome back to the program. It is Countywide. I'm Brad Miller, and our guest today, Allison Lenoker, a first-time visitor with us. We appreciate her coming to see us in our Cottonwood studios from Prescott today. The Coalition for Compassion and Justice, I think, serves primarily the Prescott area or all of Yavapai County, and I know there's expansion. We'll talk about that in our next program. We're doing 2 together today, but so we'll get into those kind of things.
So the other thing when we're talking about who I serve and who is really in need right now, I always like to talk about families. There is a demographic right now of families who are housed, but they're called what's referred to as cost burden households, which means they're paying over 30% of their income on rent.
Okay.
So what that ends up doing is, you know, when you pay so much for rent and you don't really have much left over every month, your kids aren't going to the doctor as much as they should. Right. Your car payment's not getting paid. Your utility payment's not getting paid.
Clothing
and yes, all the things. And what's a little bit different about that demographic is that they, income-wise, a lot of times it's a 2-income household. Income-wise, they don't qualify for any sort of assistance. They would make too much money.
Right.
But they're being priced out of their houses. So
now let's parse that for just a second.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate what you just said. They make too much money for a lot of different kinds of assistance at federal or state levels.
Correct.
yet they can't afford to live where they do. Kids are struggling, especially kids. It seems like it always, all the burdens of the world seem to fall on the smallest, but with clothing, food, nutrition, healthcare, and so on. There's just something wrong with this picture.
And
so wrong with this picture.
And that's really a gap that we're looking to help fill as well. We get a lot of calls from folks going, I have an apartment. I need rental assistance because my daughter had to go to the hospital. And I need rental assistance because I had to go to the hospital. I got hurt.
Right.
And what ends up happening is if that assistance isn't available or that they're over the income level, now we've just had a family fall into homelessness.
Right.
So
just like that.
Just like that.
Kid bumps her head out on the skateboard and bang.
Yep.
There you are.
And those are the instances where I don't think we think about that a whole lot, where it's that one life event that happens and then it causes a ripple effect on your entire life. Right. And I think that's a huge gap in services that we have right now. And we are really trying to focus on those households and try to create programs and develop housing that not just help someone who is experiencing homelessness right now, but prevent another family from falling into homelessness. We get really creative at CCJ.
I was going to say, it sounds like at least 5 more organizations, at least your size, need to be involved to kind of address some of these problems.
Oh, yeah. We collaborate with everyone.
And
everyone collaborates with us. And it is especially in the Tri-Cities area, so Prescott Valley, Prescott, Chino, even out into Dewey, Cottonwood, Sedona, all of the nonprofits are looking at this issue going, how do we solve it? Right. I sit in rooms all the time, Brad, and they go, well, homelessness is such a hard thing to solve. And I always go, am I the idiot? I actually think I know how to solve it, which is housing, affordable housing,
right?
Housing that is affordable for every budget and attainable. I get a lot of calls too, where it's my wife and we found an apartment. I got a DUI 5 years ago and I can't get the apartment. My background check came back. I have a felony. I can't get an apartment. And that's a real huge barrier. Because if that's a mistake that they made 5 years ago and now they're having to pay for it by not being able to attain housing. And so we are what we call compassionate property owners. And so we will rent to someone who has a felony. Now, as long as the felony is not a violent crime that happened last week, or you burnt down a manufactured home 2 weeks ago, we are pretty compassionate when it comes to those things. And I think that's a huge barrier as well.
To play devil's advocate for a second, because I can just hear some folks that could be even in our own audience that when you said that, I had a DUI 5 years ago, I can't get the place. Well, good. You shouldn't have been out drinking and driving. Okay, fine. Yes, absolutely. But now it did happen. Now you've got 2 kids in the family.
Right.
So now they're going to suffer, the exact same thing. Somewhere we've got on this sliding scale of good and bad, of right and wrong, we've got to be able to welcome people back into the fold, no matter their sins, at some point, because others are going to suffer beyond the sinner. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And it sounds like you see that all the time.
I can tell you that we had a client who was a longtime client of ours. He ended up violating probation. He was experiencing homelessness the entire time he was staying in our shelter. He ended up having to go to prison for 2 years because of the probation violation. Did his 2 years. He got out of prison. I ended up just needing a part-time staff member. I hired him on. He stayed in our shelter for about a month. I had a unit open up in Prescott that we manage. I moved him in, and he was the best tenant I have ever had. Not only was he the best tenant, he was respectful. And within, I believe, 6 months, he was able to find his own apartment with one of his kids. Now, they had to vouch for him because he did have a felony. He just was released from prison. But they found a property owner or a landlord that said, it's okay.
Yeah.
And he not only now has a relationship with all 3 of his children, which he had not had in a long time, but he is on his own and he still works for us. He's thriving. I mean, I have so many examples of that. My best tenant has lived with us for 6 years. And when we moved him in, I legit went, he might burn the place down, because he had threatened to burn the shelter down at one point. It
shows us how the system is supposed to work every single time. And because of organizations like yours, some of the others that you mentioned in the community that address the needs of these folks, the system can work.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of
You just have to be crazy enough to take the risks like me.
Take the plunge.
Yeah, right.
We need to take just another short break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our first segment. There's so much to talk about with Allison Lenoker, Coalition for Compassion and Justice on Countywide. We'll be back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Hi, this is Lewis Rice with Rice Accounting, Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, with a very sincere thank you for your continued business over the last 20 years. All of us at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service are very honored for the many community awards we've been given over the years. As always, we are open year-round, providing services for taxes, payroll, and bookkeeping. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona, can help you with all your tax and accounting needs. For our nearest location, call 800-234-1040.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
We welcome you back to Countywide, our final segment in this first of two parts with Allison Lenoker, Executive Director, Coalition for Compassion and Justice. And let's get some information for folks. I'm assuming you probably need, volunteers? Certainly resources of other kinds. Tell me.
Yeah, we have volunteer opportunities in our home repair program, our thrift store, as well as our shelter. We serve meals every night. So if someone would want to come do a meal, we would absolutely welcome that. Our thrift store right now, if you are a thrifter, we are getting all the good stuff right now. I mean, sure. From now till about the first week in January, it's going to be all the good stuff. So come in, buy it all, because I got plenty more in the back.
Okay.
But our address is 531 Madison Avenue, and that's in Prescott. We share a parking lot with the Napa Auto Parts. So if you can't find us, look for Napa.
Okay.
Our website is yavapaiccj.org. You will find all the information about us on there, as well as ways to get a hold of me if you need to.
And as far as folks volunteering, or do you need volunteers? Can they just call, or what's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. If just give us a call, send us an email if you want to volunteer. Most of our volunteer opportunities right now are in our home repair program.
Gotcha.
So we do ramps, steps, any sort of health and safety issues. But we also have some opportunities in shelter and the thrift store as well.
Okay. Is there training required if folks are going to be working with homeless people directly?
Yeah, we do in-house training and orientation.
Okay. So a prerequisite, you can kind of probably talk to people about that.
I think our best volunteer in shelter is 93. So if he can handle it, I'm pretty sure everyone can.
We can do it. All right. Sounds terrific. When we return again on our next episode of Countywide, we're doing two, and this is the conclusion of our first with Allison Lenoker. I want to talk about, there's a pretty significant project that is already underway in Chino Valley, housing homeless people. There's been a few bumps in the road on that, and that's what I want to kind of get into, how a community welcomes or doesn't an organization such as the Coalition for Compassion and Justice. It's Allison Lenoker, our guest. We'll do a second program coming up on our next get-together. I'm Brad Miller. It's Countywide, and we will see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us. News at myradioplace.com.